Hi guys, it's your boy Bux Says back again for another video this week, and in some ways the spiritual successor to last week's video. But before I get into that, just want to say I've had my 8th video pass over 100 views. Really chuffed with that. And I've got about 60 subscribers. Would love to get that number also over 100 in the next few months. So if you are watching and liking the content, please like, comment and subscribe, and let's get right into the video now. So you're married, you've navigated the perils of online dating and you found your betrothed. What now? Look, let me tell you, there's a reason why Hollywood stops the movie when the guy gets the girl. Marriage is very unglamorous and it is hard work. When I say unglamorous and hard work, I know it has negative connotations attached to the word, but they're not necessarily bad things. It's hard work with result, but it's hard work nonetheless. Anyone telling you otherwise is lying, and I'm sure it's the reason why lots and lots of people are delaying getting married nowadays, because they want to delay the hard work that it takes to probably sustain a relationship. And a lot of people want to run away from that. Trust me, it's not easy. I've been married for 2 years now, and I honestly would say that the first year of marriage is one of the hardest things I've had to do. And that in no way is a slight at my wife, or is it a slight at the concept of marriage. It just is what it is. Anyone looking for some sort of, formula or guidebook, there is none. It's probably very individual to your own circumstances. What I will say is, nowadays, with instant gratification, you can make some sort of online dating profile. You can literally go on social media. You can look at pictures, certain pictures. You can just go online and run away from your problems. And that's all it is. It's running away from your problems. You have a fight with your wife, text your ex, you go on Musmatch, you go on Tinder, whatever it is to make yourself feel better. It's just instant gratification. Look, divorced in under a year, that's the title of this video. I hear about lots of people now getting divorced, and I'm sure many of them have good reasons. And there is a caveat to this, that there are very good reasons: physical abuse, emotional abuse, violence, someone going past the personal boundaries that you've set. There are very good reasons, but I think there's also some very not good reasons that marriages now fall apart. And they fall apart for 3 reasons. These 3 reasons, if you can master them, just like possessing the Deathly Hallows, they're like mastering marriage. I mean, it's not mastering death. Some would say they're the same thing. I will say this to you, right? The 3 things: money, have that conversation beforehand. I can only speak about where I live. I live in London, yeah? And I've seen people, some of my own friends, I saw one of my friends the other day post something about how men in Islam should provide 100%. That's fine, within your rights. Not for me to argue about. What I will say is that if you want to live near your family and you want to live in that network of London, then, if you want a guy to also provide, pack your bags, say bye to your brothers and sisters, because you ain't living in London, man, with a 1-person salary. That's a no-go for you. Or you're living with your parents, and then you don't want to live with your parents, do you? You don't want to live with your in-laws because you clash with your in-laws. Your in-laws are like, they're raised different to you. They have a different perspective on life. They don't get the way you live the same way you don't get the way they live. So you can't have it all. It comes back to that point of the illusion of choice, right? You have an illusion of choice. To be honest, I don't even think it matters who you get married to. I know people will think that statement is pretty stupid, but it really doesn't, because in reality, you get married to someone and you get married for stability. You get married probably partially because it's a social construct, and you get married to have kids mainly, right? And also because you love someone, right? I'm sure that's a big factor in it, but love is hard work, love is respect, right? I think a lot of people have unrealistic expectations of finances in relationships nowadays, but that's between 2 people to talk about, suss that out. But alongside that, there's money worries that come in relationships when you have kids, when you buy a house, when you have mortgages. So that's a big stress point. How you manage that is managing it, right? You don't run away from the problems, or you don't think, I could have got a guy that was richer, or I could have got a girl that was richer. If you want to be a stay-at-home husband or a stay-at-home wife, then you need to work hard to find someone that will do that. But it is also you're cutting the amount of people you're looking for into a very small pool of people. Because how we live now is not how our parents lived, unfortunately, and where we've settled is just a lot different. The next thing is having kids. I'm not at that point yet, and I will keep it brief because I'm not very experienced to talk about it. But I think that obviously when people have kids, it invariably just gives you less time for your partner, and that can be a very difficult thing to navigate, especially if unconventionally you're quite needy as a couple. It can be very difficult, and it will definitely be interesting for me to navigate. I think you have to be very self-aware of your time and very, very good at managing it, and just probably knowing that you have to sacrifice those 6 7 years for a long-term result. Again, working hard because that's something that you want to either test yourself out, you want to raise kids, you want to enjoy, the fruits of your labor. And that's fine, nothing to run away from, but just something to manage. The last one is the big one. It's in-laws, isn't it? It's the age-old debate of I have loads of friends and family that I hear about, horror stories about their in-laws. In reality, you get to know someone, and you probably get to know your in-laws beforehand. I knew everything good and bad about my in-laws before I got married to my wife. And when you marry someone, you marry into their family invariably, and you need to make sacrifices. They're not going to like the same things you do. They're probably not going to be the first people you want to spend time with, but spend time with them you probably should, considering that they gave birth to your partner and spent about 20 or plus years raising them into the person that you fell in love with. So to show them some sort of respect for that and give them time. It's all well and good giving people time on your wedding when you're taking all those funny, nice, fancy photos, when people have to pay for your wedding. Then afterwards, I don't really want to get to know you because I don't get along with you. Oh, you're causing issues with me because you're finding it difficult to lose your son or daughter. It's not an easy thing for either person. It's not easy marrying into someone's family, and it's not easy someone giving away their son or their daughter, right? And it's not gender specific. It's hard. I'm sure it was hard for my mum seeing me married to someone, moving out. Probably overstayed my welcome at home for a while, but it's a hard concept, and invariably people will make mistakes, and they'll have a different way of dealing with it. Differences don't need to be demonized, they don't need to be celebrated either, but they need to be managed, right? So again, managing it. And showing people respect without occasion, without weddings, without the birth of kids or the adoption of dogs or whatever you want to say, right? Show respect to your partner's parents. And again, there are caveats to this, like any sort of toxicity, and I'm sure there's lots of toxic traits in our culture, but a lot of toxic traits that your in-laws possess, probably your family possess, because they're probably in the same generation. I don't want to label people in the same way, but if you can show a level of patience to your own family, you can probably exhibit that same patience to your partners, and I think that'll make your relationship a lot more fruitful. And look, again, I will end the video with saying marriage, a very unglamorous concept, and something that requires a lot of hard work. Affection, care, it requires you to really develop as a person. I've developed in 2 years. I'd say I'm a lot calmer, a lot more I've got a lot more direction in my life. But a lot of problems arise, and you just have to manage them, right? And that's really all it comes down to. And I don't want to demonize the generation beneath me, because I think every generation does that. They say that this person did this person did that. I'll just say that hard work and instant gratification, they really don't go hand in hand. They're at the opposite ends of the spectrum. If you go looking for one, invariably one is going to suffer. There are no big milestones every day. Every day you're paying bills, you're washing the dishes together, you're getting ready for work the next morning, you're cleaning the house, you're trying to understand how someone else's anxieties, emotions, and stresses, joys, etc., how they affect your own mood, how it affects your own life. You're trying to manage that. There's a lot of learning that goes on, but there's no real big moments or big epiphanies. It's like a sports person winning the Champions League. Where do you go from there? Where you go is you just go. You just go onwards and upwards, and you keep showing some, respect and honor to something you wanted at one point in time. And if it feels like you don't want it and if that was your choice at one point in life, outside of obviously, some real serious factors, then you probably owe it to yourself to probably look back and think about the reasons that kept you anchored to the relationship, and find a way to communicate with your partner to make it more fruitful and better for you and them, because you're in it for the long haul. I will say one thing, I'm by no means an expert, far from it. People are a lot better at giving advice than taking it themselves. I'm just trying to articulate my thoughts. And like many of you who are married or unmarried, I'm just a guy trying to get through life the best way I can. And this is a really good way to articulate my thoughts. I think the key thing I've seen through observing a lot of relationships my whole life is I think people end up treating people the way they would want to be treated. And I think that's the biggest pitfall that people end up falling into. I think if people just communicate with their partner and ask them, how would you like to be treated? And just treat them like that, then, it's a lot more fruitful than like throwing arrows in the dark, hoping that something sticks. And I know it might be a bit foreign trying to understand it, or learning how to listen and understand how to share someone else's anxieties in spaces your own. But treat people how they want to be treated, and you will see change. And that's what Bux has to say for this week.